A demented Trump stunned an Oval Office full of sycophants. He announced more socialism and then fell asleep at a 3 p.m. event. I know. Sleepy Joe was the problem, right? Here is Donald Trump again announcing that there will be more socialism coming to the United States. It's the farmers, folks. It's the farmers.
The president of the Kentucky Farm Bureau testified before the Senate about a month ago, middle of May. At that point, he said that the pricing and availability of fertilizer was a crisis for farmers. And he said the war was not helping that. And he said we need the government to step in and provide economic help. Even if you do make a deal in the next couple of days, that was a month ago that farmers were saying they were in crisis. Do you think there needs to be federal aid specifically for farmers because of the war?
No, it's fair. You know, I gave the farmers $28 billion in my first term because they were taken advantage of by China. And I charged China for it. I put tariffs on, and China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars. And I took $28 billion out of the tariffs from China and other countries that treated our farmers very badly. I gave them $28 billion. And I'm looking at that, actually. The war is the primary impediment, which is now going to come down from Ukraine. You know, a lot of it comes out of Ukraine and other things, but other places. But no, the farmers have a problem with fertilizer, but that's all coming down now. And your fuel is going to be, I think it's going to be lower than it was 4 or 5 months ago. 4 or 5 months ago, we were doing unbelievable. Remember this, if you look at Biden, his oil prices, without saving our country, saving the world, by going out and saying to Iran, you cannot have a nuclear weapon. If I ask these people about Iran having a nuclear weapon and they're going to have to go through some pain, I mean, I don't think, I hate to really do it because it's a little dangerous. Every one of these people are going to say, you cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. He said, use it. You want to see turmoil? You want to see death and destruction? Let Iran have a nuclear weapon. So, but I am looking at doing a form of help because of fertilizer. But
yes, he's looking at doing another farmer bailout. You know, Trump brags about how he helped the farmers in his first term, but he was only in a position of needing to do that because he screwed the farmers in his first term. Trump always screws the farmers up. And then in the second term, we've heard from farmer after farmer. We even heard from that soybean farmer on the show, who's a big Trump supporter, who goes, I love Trump. I voted for him 3 times, but he's screwing the farmers on this thing. And he, by the way, that guy still, Caleb Ragland, I think his name is, he still supports Trump. That's another story of cult membership and other stuff. But regardless, he constantly ends up needing to help farmers because he is screwing the farmers. How many times can you screw the farmers and then bail them out before they realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't vote for this guy? Unfortunately, that's it. A lot of them voted for him 3 times, and now he's going to be leaving office in 2 years. Trump then taking the requisite nap during this event. This was at 3 p.m. As you all know, Donald Trump is increasingly holding events only between noon and 5 local time. This was right in the middle of that at 3 p.m., and Trump fell asleep while Doug Burgum was speaking.
Risk their lives, they risk their own personal capital to help feed America. They're the farmers of the sea. Just like President Trump's behind our farmers and ranchers, he's behind our fishermen. He's making sure that
Trump really struggling to stay awake and sleeping again. Trump is sleeping all the time in public. 3 o'clock. It was Biden who had this uncanny ability to fall asleep anywhere. It was Biden who was sleepy. It was Biden who couldn't keep up with the schedule. And Trump is falling asleep all the time. First, really quick, a word from our sponsor. On busy days, I am not looking for a complicated food solution. I want something fresh, filling, fast, good enough that it doesn't feel like a compromise. And that's why our sponsor, Forkful, has been a lifesaver. Forkful delivers fully prepared, chef-cooked meals to your door, never frozen, ready in under 3 minutes. Every meal is made with simple ingredients, locally sourced vegetables, high-quality proteins, sauces made from scratch, no weird fillers or preservatives. They can accommodate any diet you're on, plant-based, keto, high protein, many, many options. I tried the barbacoa bowl with white rice and black beans, tender beef, peppers, sour cream sauce, delicious, tender, the kind of lunch I'd be excited to have again. Go to davidpakman.com/forkful and use the code Pakman for 50% off your first box plus 10% off your next 3 orders. The link is in the description. Now back to the video. A strange moment. Trump says you can't get Maine lobster in Maine anymore. You've got to go to Japan to get Maine lobster.
But you have never had. And again, in Maine, I opened it up. You know who was fishing there? Canada. Canada. Japan was fishing there. Maine lobster. You couldn't get a Maine lobster. You had to go to Japan to get a Maine lobster. You believe it? You had to go to Canada to get a Maine lobster. They were fishing there. Not only that, you had to go a day and a half in a boat, and they had you at 3 knots. That means like essentially a little bit different than 3 miles an hour, but it means slow.
Right. It is not true that you had to go to Japan or Canada to get Maine lobster. Maine lobster comes from Maine. However, I did research. Can you get Maine lobster in Japan? You can, because Japan imports lobster from Maine. So the Maine lobster in Japan is not Japanese. It was sent there from Maine, which undercuts Trump's entire argument, as is usually the case. Trump then shifting into the blatant racism part of the event. It's never really a Trump event until you get to that. And here Trump goes, listen, people like me built this country. I guess he means rich white guys. I don't know. Or maybe guys with orange skin. I'm not sure. And it wasn't these ingrates from Somalia who are in Minnesota.
These people built the country, not the complainers. The complainers didn't build the country. These people built the country. Whether it's fishermen or farmers or anything else. Me, guys like me, they built the country. You know, I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything. They couldn't build anything. Look at what's happened in Minnesota. Somalia. All these people came in from Somalia. They ripped off our system.
Right. Sounds, it's sounding a little bit racist to me. I don't know. I'm careful on this show. I know that there are shows where everything is racism and misogyny and structural misogyny, all stuff. This is not one of those shows. Sometimes there is a place for that sort of analysis, but sometimes there isn't. And I try to only make that analysis when it's there. This just seems like blatant racism. Trump really seems to have very negative feelings about people from Somalia, particularly in Minnesota. He thinks that they are somehow disproportionately involved in various types of fraud. Something which I've researched and not found any evidence for, and reinforcing the idea that the real Americans, the real builders of this country are people who I guess look like Trump when he says guys like me. You tell me what Trump means by guys like me. In a bizarre moment, after months of bragging that he shut down the Strait of Hormuz, Trump goes, the strait's been open for months. What?
The strait is open, but the straits have been open for a number of months already, and you just didn't know about it. You know, you as reporters weren't able to get it. I just announced yesterday that we brought a lot of ships through, and nobody knew about it. I guess we did a pretty good job, Peter, right? But we brought many ships across, and millions, hundreds of millions of barrels of oil were brought across.
This guy is something, huh? We brought a gazillion gallons of oil, barrels of oil through the very wide open Strait of Hormuz. 2 days ago, I covered on this show that Trump was bragging that the strait was closed because he closed it. And if you look, I mean, it's semi-public data, the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. And then you've got satellite data and other things. We know that it's been closed or almost completely closed for much of the last 15 and a half weeks of this 3-week war. He just says whatever. And then finally, the sort of cherry on top of incompetence, the banana in the banana split of ignorance is Trump going, we have a really strong memo going in the direction of a deal with Iran. 2 weeks to go, folks. 2 weeks to go.
The concept of that agreement when it comes to nuclear, you said this was just a concept of that agreement. So is this just essentially setting the stage for deeper talks on nuclear?
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding that is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done. And if it doesn't get done for any reason, which I can't imagine that not happening, they want to sign it as much as I do or more.
Here's one reason that this deal might not get done. Iran and Israel both say that this memorandum of understanding doesn't exist. Here's another reason this deal might not get done. He has said 30 times that it's about to get done, and it hasn't been done. And this has become a war that supposedly ended 10 or 11 times already, and yet everybody's bombing each other. Trump's scaring people with his incompetence. And Chuck Todd thinks he knows one additional element of what's going on here. Listen to this.